right, let's set the scene properly, because this story begins not with a dramatic tabloid headline, not with an anonymous palace source, and not with someone close to the matter, but with something far more terrifying to the British press. A courtroom, a witness box, and Prince Harry calmly telling the truth under oath. For years, the tabloids have spoken about Harry. On this day, Harry spoke back, and judging by the collective panic that followed, they were not emotionally prepared. Picture it. London's High Court. Wood-panelled walls, serious faces. And there sits Prince Harry, not scowling, not performing, not throwing tantrums like certain headlines had spent years predicting, but visibly emotional, measured, and human. When he described how the Daily Mail had made his wife's life an absolute misery, the room reportedly went quiet. Which is rare, because tabloids usually prefer noise. Loud noise. Chaotic noise. Noise that drowns out accountability. And this is where things get awkward for the media, because Harry didn't say this in a documentary they could dismiss as self-serving. He didn't say it in a podcast they could mock. He didn't say it through a spokesperson they could undermine. He said it in court, where facts matter, records matter, and, allegedly, stops being a personality trait. Now, this lawsuit isn't just Harry waking up one morning and choosing violence against Fleet Street. This case stretches back decades. We're talking allegations spanning from the early 1990s all the way into the 2010s, involving phone hacking, deception, blagging, and methods that sound less like journalism and more like rejected plots from a crime drama. Harry is not alone either, which makes the "he's just bitter" narrative collapse faster than a poorly sourced exclusive. Among the claimants is Elton John, a man who has sold more records than most tabloids have printed lies. Elton John does not need attention. He does not need relevance. And yet there he is, suing Associated Newspapers, the publisher behind the Daily Mail. That alone should have caused a moment of self-reflection. It did not. Instead, the usual defences rolled out. Harry is emotional. Harry is dwelling on the past. Harry is attacking free speech. Because apparently asking not to have your private life illegally harvested is now considered censorship. Journalism, according to some tabloids, only counts as journalism when it's completely unregulated and occasionally criminal. But what made this testimony hit differently is that Harry didn't sound angry. He sounded tired. And there is nothing more convincing than exhaustion, born from years of being misrepresented, misquoted, and mocked for reacting to things that would break most people. When Harry spoke about Meghan Markle, he wasn't reciting talking points. He wasn't spinning a narrative. He was describing what it's like to watch someone you love become a target for profit, a sport, a cottage industry. Meghan wasn't treated like a human being, she was treated like content. Clickable, monetizable content. And here's the part the tabloids hate most. Meghan didn't do anything extraordinary to deserve this level of scrutiny. She married into a family. That's it. She didn't pass laws, she didn't commit crimes, she didn't run for office. She existed, confidently, as a woman, while being biracial. And apparently that combination triggered an editorial meltdown that lasted years. Now, whenever Meghan's treatment is discussed, someone inevitably says, well, she knew what she was getting into. Which is a fascinating argument, because by that logic, consent to marriage equals consent to harassment. By that logic, strength equals immunity. By that logic, cruelty becomes a job requirement. Harry's testimony quietly destroyed that nonsense. Strength does not cancel harm. Resilience does not justify abuse. And surviving something does not mean it was acceptable. After the court appearance, something unexpected happened online. Instead of the usual pile-on, the public conversation shifted. People started sharing similar experiences with tabloids, twisting their words, inventing sources, or publishing private information with shocking confidence. And then, as if on cue, a completely unrelated celebrity story resurfaced and accidentally proved Harry's point. Screenshots from a 2024 social media post of Kate's began circulating again. In it, she directly dismissed a Daily Mail article that claimed she had discussed her mother's illness with journalist Richard Eden. Kate made it very clear that she had not shared that information. The article wasn't just invasive, it was inaccurate. Now here's where the universe decided to add a little comedic timing. A Meghan Markle fan account reposted Kate's statement. Kate saw it. And instead of writing a long thread, instead of issuing a press release, instead of consulting a PR team, she simply replied, "Yup," with a heart emoji. 2 letters. 1 emoji. And suddenly the air went out of the denial balloon. Because Kate Beckinsale isn't a royal. She's not part of the Sussex storyline. She has no reason to lie for Harry or Meghan. And yet her experience lined up perfectly with what Harry was describing. The pattern was familiar. The methods were familiar. The denial was familiar. Kate later explained why she couldn't sue, not because the behaviour was acceptable, but because legal action is expensive, draining, and designed to wear people down. Which is exactly why Harry's lawsuit is so important. Because when someone with the resources to fight actually does, it exposes the system for everyone else who couldn't. And that's the part the tabloids truly resent. Not that Harry spoke, but that he spoke effectively. The British press has always relied on silence, fatigue, and ridicule. Speak up and you're mocked. Stay quiet and the story continues. Harry chose a third option: law. This case is not about hating journalism. It's about distinguishing journalism from intrusion, reporting from surveillance, scrutiny from harassment. And the reason this lawsuit makes certain newspapers so uncomfortable is because it threatens the one thing they've never had to give before: answers. So when Harry paused in that witness box, holding back tears, it wasn't weakness. It was restraint. It was humanity. And it was a reminder that behind every headline is a person who didn't consent to becoming a punching bag. And the irony, the same tabloids that spent years accusing Harry and Meghan of playing the victim are now scrambling to portray themselves as victims of accountability. Funny how that works. So the real story here isn't that Prince Harry testified. It's that, for once, the people who usually control the narrative didn't get the last word. And judging by the reaction, that might be the most frightening headline of all. And that, my friends, is where we leave things, not with a tabloid headline screaming in all caps, not with an exclusive source from someone who once walked past a palace gate in 1998, but with facts, accountability, and a courtroom that doesn't care about click-through rates. Prince Harry didn't show up to entertain the press. He showed up to challenge it. He didn't shout, he didn't rant, and he didn't storm out. He sat there, told the truth, and reminded everyone that being born into a famous family does not mean signing away your right to privacy for life. And as for Meghan, the woman who was supposedly too strong to be affected, we now have confirmation of what many already knew. Strength doesn't cancel harm, it just means you survive it. The problem was never her resilience, the problem was the cruelty. What really rattled the tabloids wasn't tears or testimony or even the lawsuit itself. It was the pattern being exposed. Because when other voices, from actors to artists to everyday people, quietly say, "Yes, that happened to me too," the illusion starts to crack. And once people start comparing notes, the narrative falls apart. So as the media scrambles to defend itself, rewrite the story, or pretend this is all somehow about free speech, remember this. Free speech does not include the freedom to harass, deceive, or invade. Accountability isn't censorship, it's overdue. If you believe the press should tell the truth instead of manufacturing it, if you think Prince Harry and Meghan deserve fairness, not fixation, and if you're tired of powerful institutions never being questioned. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop your thoughts in the comments, I read them all. Share this video, because conversations are harder to bury than stories. Thank you for watching, thank you for supporting the channel, and as always, stay curious, stay critical, and don't let anyone sell you fiction as fact. I'll see you in the next one.